The sun rose gently over the calm waters surrounding Fantasy Island, casting a golden glow upon the lush greenery and the elegant white structures of the resort. It was the beginning of another beautiful day, a day where dreams, no matter how unusual, were given a chance to breathe and become reality. Walking along the manicured path, his posture impeccable and his expression serene, was the enigmatic host of the island, Mr. Rourke. Beside him, trying his best to match the long, confident strides of his employer, was his loyal and energetic assistant, Lawrence. "Good morning, Mr. Rourke," Lawrence said, his face lighting up with enthusiasm as he checked his notes. "Good morning, Lawrence," Mr. Rourke replied, turning his gaze toward the staff members who were preparing the welcoming area. He raised his voice slightly, offering a warm and encouraging instruction to everyone present. "Smiles, everyone. Smiles." Lawrence looked toward the dock where a boat was just arriving. He shielded his eyes from the morning sun and pointed toward a young man stepping onto the wooden pier. "That must be Ben Saunders, sir." "Yes, Mr. Saunders' fantasy is deceptively simple, but will require a most complex solution, I'm afraid," Mr. Rourke murmured, his eyes reflecting a deep understanding of the human heart. "Really, sir?" Lawrence asked, his curiosity instantly piqued. "Yes," Mr. Rourke confirmed. "What is his fantasy, sir?" "His fantasy is to be reunited with his estranged fiancée, Miss Ali Marshall," Mr. Rourke explained, his voice laced with a touch of sympathy for the young man's plight. "I just hope it won't be too demanding of your time, sir," Lawrence said, always protective of his master's busy schedule. "Not of my time, Lawrence, but definitely demanding of my ingenuity," Mr. Rourke corrected with a small, knowing smile. They continued walking toward the main pavilion where the profiles of the newly arrived guests were being sorted. Lawrence picked up the next file, looking closely at the details. "Miss Yolanda Morales, apparently a teetotaler, sir," Lawrence remarked, noting her preference during the journey. "She declined a drink for a very good reason, Lawrence," Mr. Rourke said softly. "She's going to have a baby." Lawrence stopped in his tracks, his eyes wide with surprise. "But I thought it was Miss Morales." "Oh, it is, but it's not what you think," Mr. Rourke explained patiently. "Miss Morales has a contract to be a surrogate mother for a couple who can't have a child of their own." Lawrence frowned, trying to understand the logistics of her presence on the island. "What on earth is she doing here?" "She's here because she's now having serious doubts about the whole arrangement," Mr. Rourke said, his tone turning serious and gentle. "Miss Morales' fantasy is to find out this weekend how she will feel about giving up the baby after it's born." "But, sir, look at her," Lawrence countered, gesturing vaguely toward the distance. "She doesn't even show. She must be 8 months away. How can she possibly know this weekend how she will feel after the baby is born?" "By having the baby, Lawrence," Mr. Rourke answered calmly. Lawrence gasped, his voice rising in disbelief. "This weekend?" "This weekend, yes," Mr. Rourke confirmed firmly. Before Lawrence could ask any more questions, the rest of the guests gathered in the main courtyard. Mr. Rourke stepped forward, his presence commanding yet deeply welcoming. He raised his arms slightly, his voice echoing with genuine warmth. "My dear guests, I am Mr. Rourke, your host. Welcome to Fantasy Island. We'll be ready." The morning quickly shifted into a flurry of activity. In one part of the island, preparations for the grand event were already underway. Workers were lifting heavy decorations, trying to arrange a massive floral archway. "Now, listen, make sure you center that," a voice called out with sharp authority. No, center that exactly. Right. Very good. Very good. All right, now, just a moment. No. A little to your left." Mr. Rourke and Lawrence walked by the bustling scene, observing the chaotic beauty of the preparations. "Ah, there's the great sculptor Pierre Lebrun," Mr. Rourke noted, pointing to the man who had just been shouting directions. "And the celebrated designer of women's fashions, Walter Fielding. Both here to supervise our beaux arbors." Lawrence shook his head in sheer amazement at how perfectly everything was falling into place. "I don't know how you do it, sir." "Ah, there are ways, Lawrence, there are ways," Mr. Rourke replied smoothly. But just remember the old saying, there is no such thing as a free lunch. He turned his head as a familiar figure approached them. Ah, here's Mr. Saunders. Ben Saunders looked around the breathtaking landscape, his mind blown by the sheer luxury and magical aura of the resort. This is some place, Mr. Rourke, Ben said, shaking his head. Thank you. No wonder why you charge so much for a fantasy. Well, I'm delighted you have such understanding of my problem, Mr. Saunders, Mr. Rourke replied, his tone perfectly polite. Ben blinked, confused by the choice of words. Problem, sir? You? Yes, Mr. Rourke said, turning to his assistant to clarify the situation. You see, Lawrence, Mr. Saunders didn't have enough available money at the moment to pay for his fantasy. So rather than deprive him, I worked out an arrangement which I hope will be satisfactory. Ben shifted his weight from one foot to the other, a bit nervous about what this implied. Just what is this arrangement, Mr. Rourke? You will see with your own eyes, Mr. Rourke answered with an enigmatic smile. This way, please. They walked together toward the main stage where the decorators and artists were taking a brief intermission. Pierre Lebrun and Walter Fielding were standing near the edge of the platform, looking exhausted but deeply invested in their work. Hello, gentlemen. Good morning, Mr. Rourke greeted them warmly. I know things look a bit chaotic, but everything will be ready by curtain time tomorrow night. We'll give you pageantry that your guests will always remember. Now, gentlemen, we're going to take a 10-minute break here. 10 minutes. The workers nodded gratefully and dispersed. Mr. Rourke turned to introduce everyone. Mr. Lebrun, Mr. Fielding, Mr. Saunders. How do you do? How do you do? Ben Saunders said, reaching out to shake their hands. Ben Saunders. And my right-hand man, Lawrence, Mr. Rourke added. Gentlemen, Pierre and Walter replied in unison, offering polite nods. Mr. Rourke looked at the two artists, his eyes twinkling with anticipation. Now, are you two gentlemen ready for your fantasies to begin? We're ready right now, sir, Walter Fielding said eagerly, his artistic spirit bursting at the seams. Ben Saunders, however, was growing increasingly anxious about his own situation. Ah, excuse me. Mr. Rourke, their fantasies. What about mine? All a necessary part of the arrangement, Mr. Saunders. Trust me, Mr. Rourke assured him, his voice steady and comforting. Oh, I understand, Ben muttered, though he still looked a bit skeptical. Now, gentlemen, Mr. Rourke said, turning his full attention back to the sculptor and the fashion designer. You, Mr. Lebrun, described your ideal woman to me. The one you wish you could carve in stone as a beautiful Venus. Only not cold and aloof, but earthy with an inner fire, seductive and sensual. And you, Mr. Fielding, said your ideal woman would be fiery, tempestuous. Exactly, Walter Fielding interrupted, his eyes wide with passion. A striking woman of great passion. Raw, lusty, filled with life. Yes, yes, Mr. Rourke smiled, acknowledging their intense desires. Lawrence. Now, close your eyes. Close your eyes, please. Thank you. Both of you, if you don't mind. Pierre and Walter looked at each other for a brief second before shutting their eyes tightly, focusing all their creative energy. Now, picture in your minds the ideal women you have described, Mr. Rourke instructed them in a soft, hypnotic voice. Concentrate and call out the name of your ideal woman. Ava, Pierre Lebrun whispered, a smile spreading across his face. Ava, Walter Fielding echoed, though his mind seemed to wander. Rosalind, Pierre corrected himself, or perhaps Walter called out a different name. Ava, the voices murmured. Ava. Rosalind. The women of your dreams, Mr. Rourke declared softly as a strange, magical breeze swept through the courtyard. My dream woman. Rosalind. Yes, Pierre whispered, completely lost in his imagination. Mr. Rourke opened his eyes and looked at Lawrence, nodding slightly. I think things will proceed very nicely from here on. Yes. Gentlemen. He clapped his hands lightly to bring the two artists back to reality. Gentlemen, if you please. I'll have something of great importance to say to all of you in my office in precisely 42 minutes. Please be there. But, Mr. Roy, Ben Saunders started to protest, still feeling left out of the loop. 42 minutes, Mr. Saunders, Mr. Rourke repeated firmly, leaving no room for argument as he walked away. Meanwhile, in a quiet, secluded conservatory on the other side of the resort, the gentle and melodic sounds of a piano echoed through the air. Yolanda Morales sat at the grand instrument, her fingers moving gracefully over the keys. She was lost in the music, using the beautiful chords to soothe the storm of anxiety raging inside her chest. Mr. Rourke entered the room quietly, listening for a moment before stepping forward. "You play beautifully, Miss Morales," he said, his voice full of genuine appreciation. "Your fingering is excellent and so is your feeling for the instrument." Yolanda stopped playing, her hands resting softly on the keys as she looked up with a nervous smile. "Thank you. I was trying to build up courage for our interview." "Courage?" Mr. Rourke asked, stepping closer. "Yes. Music always has helped me. I'm sure you have enough courage for whatever happens, Miss Morales," Mr. Rourke said reassuringly. "Surely I'm not difficult to talk to, am I?" No, Yolanda said quickly, shaking her head. "It's not you. It's me. I sign a surrogate mother. Surrogate mother. Surrogate mother contract. Because I need the money." "I understand," Mr. Rourke said gently, pulling up a chair to sit near her. "No. You probably don't," Yolanda sighed, her eyes casting downward as memories of her homeland filled her mind. "My sisters, they work hard. They save and borrow every cent they could to send me to the United States. And things didn't work out too well for you?" Mr. Rourke guessed softly. "No," Yolanda admitted, a tear glistening in her eye. "And they put every hope they had on me. Many times a family turns to its youngest to carry out the dreams for all, to do the things the rest could not achieve," Mr. Rourke observed, his voice rich with cultural understanding. "It's a heavy burden." "But I am the oldest, Mr. Rock," Yolanda corrected him, looking directly into his eyes. "My sister Elena is 3 years younger. And Maria is 5 years younger. But they both look older than I do. That is what poverty does to you." Mr. Rourke nodded slowly, absorbing her pain. "May I ask how much are you being paid to have this baby?" "Enough to give my sister a chance of her own," she answered simply. "So you agreed to artificial insemination?" "Yes," she whispered. "But for you it's now more than just a business arrangement, isn't it?" Mr. Rourke pointed out, seeing straight into her soul. "Yes, it is," Yolanda confessed, her hand moving instinctively to rest on her still flat stomach. "A human being is growing inside of me. I don't know if I can give her up." "It's a very difficult choice," Mr. Rourke mused. "To keep a baby you're bound to love, or give it up and be able to help your sisters find new lives of their own." "That is why I am here, Mr. Rock," Yolanda said, her voice trembling with emotion. "To know if I can give my baby away." "I understand your dilemma, Ms. Morales," Mr. Rourke said, standing up and pacing the room slightly. "But isn't there something more I should know?" Yolanda stiffened slightly, a flash of fear crossing her face. "Why do you ask that?" Before she could answer, the door opened slightly and Lawrence peered in, looking apologetic for the interruption. "Excuse me, sir. You asked me to let you know when Mr. and Mrs. Anderson arrived. They're in their bungalow now." "Thank you, Loris," Mr. Rourke said, acknowledging the message. He turned back to Yolanda. "They're here. But why?" Yolanda asked, her heart racing. "Because they have a right to be, Ms. Morales," Mr. Rourke said with a serious look. "The decision you make will affect their lives, too." Over at the guest bungalow assigned to the Andersons, the atmosphere was thick with tension. Angela Anderson was walking around the room, her face pale and her hands trembling with a mixture of grief and deep-seated insecurity. Her husband, Mike Anderson, was trying his best to comfort her, but his words seemed to fall on deaf ears. "Sweetheart," Angela said, her voice cracking as she turned to face him. "Do you know what your mother thinks about my not being able to have children, do you? She makes me feel as if I'm to blame somehow." "Oh, come on, honey," Mike said, sighing as he rubbed his temples. "You imagine things." "Do I?" "Damn it, Mike," Angela cried out, her hidden resentment bubbling to the surface. My whole heritage is to bear kids, lots of kids. Not to sit in an empty house, staring at four walls, waiting for you to come home. But that's why we're doing this, sweetheart, Mike pleaded, stepping closer and trying to take her hands. I mean, look. We'll be a complete family. Oh, I hope so, Angela whispered, looking away. We will, Mike promised. A polite knock on the door interrupted their painful conversation. Mike went to open it, revealing Mr. Rourke and Yolanda Morales standing outside. Yolanda, Mr. Rock, Mike greeted them, trying to mask the tension in the room with a polite smile. Come in, please. Thank you. Come in, Mr. Rourke said, stepping inside and allowing Yolanda to enter. Thank you very much, Mike said. Lawrence appeared behind them, carrying a few items. Loris, Mr. Rourke called out. Sir, Lawrence replied. Loris tells me there are things to be moved, Mr. Rourke noted, looking at a pile of baby clothes and supplies sitting on the table. Mr. Anderson,